Please. Good evening, everyone. This is Bernadette Brooks, President of the League of Women Voters of Napa County. Welcome to our event on what you need to know about the recall. As you all know, we have a special election, the recall election, that's happening September 14th. And tonight, I will be joined by John Tuteur, our Napa County Register of Voters. Thank you, John, for joining us. And we hope to give you both some background on recalls and on voting procedures and places in Napa County to help you if you haven't voted yet. And we want to make sure everybody has what they need to proceed. Okay. Thank you, Sherry. So, let's see here. So the recall, why are we having this special recall election? It's outlined in California Constitution and Elections Code, and it's been part of our political system since 1911. This is not something new. And the recall provides us a mechanism for people, the public, to attempt to remove an elected public official prior to the end of the term. So right now, it's trying to recall Governor Newsom before he finishes his term next year and see if we can introduce someone new and elect someone to replace him for his remaining term. To qualify a recall of the governor for the ballot, proponents need to have a minimum of 1 million. I can't see the whole number there, but for some reason my view is, let's see if I can get that. But it's equal to 12% of those votes that were cast for him for office in 2018. So that is like the minimum threshold. And once that minimum threshold has been certified with enough signatures, then a recall event is, a special recall election is called. And then we go from there, and there's a lot of information in the official voter information guide that you should have received with your ballot for the reasons that are given for this recall, as well as the rebuttal statements. So please check that out along with your ballot. And John, if they have not received a ballot by now,
they should contact our office. They're probably not registered to vote, but they can still register in person at our office or any of our vote centers. One's open in American Canyon this week, and the other three open up on Saturday, September 11th, and they'll be open the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th, and people can register and vote right there. If it turns out they're registered, we'll issue them a replacement ballot.
Great, thank you. So the ballot that you received, there's two parts to the ballot. The first part is Governor Gavin Newsom be recalled, removed from the office of governor, and you can vote yes. That means you want Governor Newsom to be recalled and removed. And if 50% plus one of the people who vote say yes, then Governor Newsom will be removed from office as soon as the votes are certified, which takes about a month. But if a no vote means you want Governor Newsom to stay in office, and if more than 50% plus one voters say no, then he stays in office until the end of his current term, which is January 2nd, 2023. Simple yes or no. The second part of the ballot, do I have to vote to remove him or not remove the governor in order to vote for the replacement candidate? Well, the answer is no. You can leave the first question blank, but vote for a replacement candidate. And you don't have to vote for a replacement candidate if you vote yes or no on the recall. You can vote for one, both, or the other. So you can vote against the recall and not vote for a replacement. Now, in terms of who the replacement candidates are, there's a lot of replacement candidates. There's 46 out there that are running, and you can vote for one or none of these. The replacement candidates are representative of 4 of the 6 different California political parties. Some of them have no party preference, and the party information attached to a candidate is informational only. It has no, a limitation of whether you're registered as a Democrat, that you can only vote for Democrats, or vice versa. That's just there for information. And there's a wonderful publication that the League of Women Voters put out each year, Voters Edge California, that has nonpartisan information about the candidates. And you can see votersedge.org for a lot of really good information, both about your ballot and the candidates. Now, are there other possible candidates? Yes. If you vote by writing in a name, that name must have been approved to be counted. And right now, for this recall election, no write-in candidates have been certified. So you
Bernie?
can only, yes.
Bernie, that's not correct.
Oh,
When these slides were made, there were no write-in candidates. I think there are now 6 of them. And we have that list at all of our vote centers and on our website. And
great.
I will find that link and put it in chat so that people can, well, or I'll send it to you and you guys can put it out.
Okay, great. So they had up until, I think it was September 3rd.
That's right.
Qualified to be listed. So I didn't see that. Thank you, John, for clarifying, correcting that.
You're welcome.
And the courts have decided that if Governor Newsom is recalled, he cannot be a candidate in this recall election. So you cannot write him in or try to vote for him as a candidate, replacement candidate. And in question I've heard quite a few times is, well, why don't we just have the lieutenant governor take over and save the expense of a recall election and all of this process? And, in most states that allow recall election, that is something that's able to happen. But our lieutenant governor, Eleni Koulounakis, has chosen not to be a replacement candidate. So once that was out of the picture, that was not something that you could vote for either, unless she's one of the 6.
She is not.
Okay.
They're all, unlike the other 46, relatively unknown candidates.
Okay. Thank you, John. Okay. And so if Governor Newsom is recalled, how does the replacement get decided? Well, it's not a percentage that's required, like for the yes/no vote. This is just who gets the most votes becomes the replacement. And it doesn't mean a majority. If Newsom's recalled, the candidate receives the most votes, have one more vote than anybody else of those 46 plus 6 write-in candidates. And it can be as little as 3 to 5% of all the votes cast. And then that person could become the replacement governor. In a regular election, 2 candidates who get the most votes in a primary, regardless of the party, then run against each other. And whoever gets the most votes becomes the governor, no matter how. But in this case, the most votes becomes governor, no matter how small the number of votes received. There's no runoff election. There's no top 2. It's just whoever gets the most vote if the governor is recalled. Thank you. The timeline: voting ends on Tuesday, September 14th at 8 p.m. If you're in line and you're working on your vote, you can finish, but it's 8 p.m. is the cutoff for anything coming in by mail or other means. Once the election results are certified, if Governor Newsom is recalled, the replacement governor will then serve through the end of the governor's current term, as we said before, expiring on January 2nd, 2023. And that will be whoever takes over after that will be decided in the general election the November before in 2022. Okay. And so are there any questions about the recall and the ballot recall questions?
Hello.
Yes, Robin?
Hi. I wanted to ask you why it is that we don't, in California, have the lieutenant governor just automatically become the governor if there's a recall, like most states. Do you
Well,
know
let me answer that, Robin. So there was a large reform movement in the early part of the 1900s under Governor Hiram Johnson. And it was during Johnson's terms of office as governor that the initiative, the referendum, and the recall were all instituted into the California Constitution and the legislation. And California chose its own model. Not all states allow recall, and California decided not to use the model of some other states where it's just yes or no recall the governor, and if the governor's recalled, the lieutenant governor steps in. California just decided not to use that model and to use the model that we're now voting on September 14th.
Well, could I add a little comment that I believe I've read, and that is the reason they chose not to do that was because during the progressive era, the grassroots people felt, and I believe it was true, that there was a lot of corruption at the top levels of the state, and they felt when passing this from the people that if they just replace the governor with the next in line, that the corruption would remain. And they said, no, we have to choose the person following the governor ourselves. So it was truly a grassroots thing. It's maybe turned against us a bit in this modern time, 100 years later, but I think that was part of the reason for that, if I might comment.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And now I'll turn it over to John to talk about voting.
Well, thank you, Bernie and Sherry, for helping us put this on. The deadline to register to vote and still receive a ballot was Monday, August 30th, 14 days before the election. Now you can still register to vote, but you have to register to vote in person, either at our office or one of the vote centers. The list of our vote centers and their hours is listed in the slide at the link at the bottom of the slide. And we are having people come into our office every day and register. Now, when you register in our office, you have to vote at the same time. You may not take a ballot with you. You have to complete the ballot. So we have all the materials you need to study up on the recall. We have the state pamphlet, we have the local pamphlet, and we have both the ability to vote on a paper ballot or to vote on a marking machine, which you can do if you're visually impaired or have another type of disability. It then prints your ballot for you as opposed to a pre-printed ballot. You can confirm your choices on that paper ballot and then cast that ballot. So we hope that there's still probably 4,000 to 5,000 eligible citizens in Napa County who are still not registered to vote, whether for this election or any election. And we hope many of those will show up between now and election day at 8 p.m. to register and vote.
Yes, please do.
Could I have the next slide, Sherry? Thanks. So you can mail in your ballot, which we've mailed 85,000 ballots out to all registered voters. You need to sign and date the envelope, and your ballot must be postmarked by Election Day, Tuesday, September 14th. You actually have in this election 7 days for your ballot to arrive. So if you happen to take your ballot with you say to Colorado and for a vacation and realized on election day, September 14th, that you wanted to mail it back, you could get it postmarked in Colorado on election day, and it would, we have 7 days for it to come back to our office. So still you can vote up to and including with your vote by mail ballot, and we pay the postage. So there's no stamp needed on it. Your second choice is to drop your ballot in one of our ballot drop boxes. There are 10 of those, one in American Canyon, several in the city of Napa, one in Yountville, one in St. Helena, and one in Calistoga, and one in Angwin. They're open 24/7. They're very secure. They're picked up by 2 ballot collectors from our staff on a regular basis. They're being picked up daily now as we get close to the election. And those ballot drop boxes are sealed at 8 p.m. on election day. So there's no line at a ballot. Well, I guess there would be a line. If there were people in line, the people who are sealing it would let you drop your ballots in. But if you're not in line at a ballot drop box at 8 p.m., it'll be sealed, the ballots taken out and brought back to us for counting. And then we have 5 vote centers in this election, not the 7 mentioned. We had to close one because of issues with cutoffs in power and other reasons. So we have 5 vote centers. They're open in 2 in the city of Napa, 1 in American Canyon, 1 in St. Helena, and 1 in Calistoga. Those vote centers will be open. One of them in American Canyon, and our office is open, including this coming weekend. We were open on Labor Day. The other 4 open on Saturday, the 11th of September, and will remain open on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we have accessible voting machines that I mentioned. Those voting machines allow you to register your choices. The machine itself does not save your choice. It prints it out on a ballot out of a printer right there. So you take that piece of paper just as if you'd received it from us in the mail, and then you can vote it either in an envelope at one of our vote centers, or you can drop it right in a ballot box at one of our vote centers. And finally, you may drop off your ballot at our drive-through voting. So we have drive-through. I was going to call it drive-by voting, but I didn't think that sounded right. So we call it drive-through voting. We have 4 drive-through voting locations, one in American Canyon at the Holiday Inn Express, where our vote center is, one at our office in downtown Napa in the alleyway between Coombs and Brown between 1st and 2nd. And then, of course, at Las Flores Community Center, we have drive-through voting, and in St. Helena at the Upper Valley campus. Drive-through voting is available Monday from 8 to 5, the 13th of September, and again from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day, Tuesday, September 14th.
Great.
I'm ready when you are, Sherry.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Could you elaborate about the importance of matching of your signature and making sure that your signature is valid, etc.?
Yes, so we get a lot of questions. So let me explain that when you sign your ballot envelope, every one of the hopefully 60 to 70,000 ballots we get back will be looked at, those return envelopes, by human eyes. And the signature on that ballot will be compared to the signature we have in our computer system from your latest voter registration affidavit. If those match, the ballot is ready to be counted. And as I said, we already have 20 to 25,000 ballots ready to be counted where the signatures have been verified. If you're not sure how you signed your voter registration, then you should have a friend, a relative, a spouse, a neighbor, somebody you stop on the street, witness your signature. On the return envelope, there is a line for anyone to witness your signature. You would sign it and they would witness that you signed it. If your ballot envelope has a signature that doesn't match, but it's been witnessed by someone else, we will accept that signature and then put it into our system for the next time that you are voting, hopefully in June of 2022. Now, the witness provision was originally primarily for people who could not mark their ballot either because of health reasons or other reasons, and then they would just make a mark on the signature line, an X or any kind of mark, and someone would witness it. But we've expanded that in California to where anybody can witness any signature so that we can count it without having to ask you to confirm it. So those signatures, first of all, we get ballots back with no signature. Fortunately, out of the 32,198 ballots we've gotten back so far, we've only gotten 50 back without a signature. That's a tiny, tiny percentage, and I'm very proud of our voters for remembering to sign their return envelope. We have about 300 signatures that have been challenged because they don't match and the signature was not witnessed. Both the people who failed to sign their return envelope and those whose signatures did not match get a letter from us, and they have up until the middle of the week of September 23rd to fix that by sending us that letter back with a signature that we can then compare to the signature on that return envelope. So very fortunate, as I said, only 50 unsigned ballots and only 300 challenge signatures, which is 1% of the 32,000 we have back. So we're doing very well on that signature verification. And that is, Robin, I'm glad you asked, that is the key to the security of this election, which is all vote by mail ballot, that every ballot return envelope is checked for signature. We're very careful about it, and we make sure that those signatures are verified.
To follow up with that, John, just occurred to me, I know with the Motor Voter Act, there's less chance if you are signing up when you renew your or get a license at the DMV, that signature is on your license. And I try to educate people to look at your license and follow that signature. But when you register conditionally, are people registering directly to the Secretary of State and therefore the DMV? Or is that a different way that you do that in your office?
Well, there's two choices when you come in to register to vote. If you don't have a California driver's license, you will register to vote. You'll print out your registration affidavit and you will sign it right there. And then we'll issue you a conditional voter registration ballot. You'll vote that, you'll put it in our special voter conditional return envelope and you'll sign that also. But we have your registration affidavit right with that envelope. The two come back to us together, so it's very easy to verify those signatures.
Mm-hmm. But they can't, the second way they do it is through the SOS, through the Secretary of State?
No, all of it's done through the SOS. If they have a California driver's
If they have a California license, then that's what happens.
then
That's
their signature comes right up. If they don't, they have to print it out and sign it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I think that's the end.
I think, are there any other questions?
I have one question, John. It's just out of curiosity. How are the write-in voters tallied, and are all of them tallied, including like the Fred Flintstones, or?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Sherry, because we spend a great deal of time with Fred Flintstone, Donald Duck, voters who write their own names in. And as was explained earlier, unless you're a qualified write-in candidate, it doesn't count. And every one of those write-in ballots, if the person marked the oval by the write-in, gets looked at by human eyes. And we have to essentially erase the unofficial write-in ballots. Not all the votes, just that vote. So for instance, if someone votes yes on the recall and writes in, let's pick a name, Fred Flintstone, we're going to remove Fred Flintstone. There won't be a vote cast in that contest, but their yes vote on the recall will count. So putting a write-in only cancels your vote for that contest. Your ballot is still counted for any other contests on the ballot.
Perfect.
Thanks.
It seems like with the late date for certification for write-ins that most people are not going to know who those people are. I didn't. I looked at the Secretary of State's website right after the certification, and that's how come we said there were no certifications for write-ins, because they hadn't updated yet. But you know, it's I guess it's not on the website or anything, right? I mean, it's on there, the California website, but
And we have it at all of our vote centers, so people can see it,
okay.
and it's on our website. Let me tell you a funny
Oh, it
story.
is, okay.
There's a recall election for the district attorney in Sonoma County. I
Oh,
won't go into the details, but there's no candidate on the ballot to replace the district attorney if she were recalled. There is one qualified write-in candidate. So if the district attorney in Sonoma County were recalled, the new district attorney could be elected with one vote.
oh.
Goodness,
Wow.
that's,
Do you think there will then be a movement to change the law? I know some states that have something similar to this. I read recently, they at least, you know, you may have this 3 or 5%, but you still have 2 runoffs. I mean, you have a runoff with 2 candidates, the top 2, same
Well,
as we do normally in some states. I mean, there's so many different variable ways of doing this in various states, but it just it seems so unequal how our votes are counted.
Well, Robin, let me explain. So we've had both a state senator in recent years and a state assembly member who were incumbents who had no opposition in the primary, but there were qualified write-in candidates. And so the incumbent assembly member got 10,000 votes. The qualified write-in got 60 votes in the primary, and they both went to the November election as the top 2 candidates. So
Interesting. Yeah.
So
But that's fair.
Well, no, I understand.
The incumbent won, right? Did the incumbent win?
Duh.
It's a less expensive campaign, I suppose. Just get your friends and family to write you in.
Right. I had a write-in candidate against me in 2018, and he got 42 votes. There was no runoff because in local countywide races like my race and the sheriff, if I get more than 50% of the vote in the primary, then I don't have to run again in November, which is not the case at the Assembly and Senate and governor and the statewide offices. So my write-in opponent got 42 votes. I forget how many I got, but I won in June of 2018.
Yes, you did. And but you'd think they would make the law a little more consistent statewide, but another story. Very
all
interesting.
right. Well, thank you so much for all this good information. Anya, that logged in, you're on mute, but if you have a question, please let us know. The part of this presentation that someone missed, the whole recording will be put out on our website and will be available for people to see from beginning to end. And so please check that out. And thank you all for your time tonight, and just keep telling all your friends to get out there and vote.
We'll put the we can put the presentation on our website too under the recall election page.
Great, thank you.
And I'll look for the link, Sherry, to the recording so I can post that.
Yes, so I will.